Hi, I'm Abby Compton, Global Marketing Lead for Accenture Insurance here at InsureTech Connect. And joining me is Michael Reilly, Principal Director for Insurance at Accenture. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Good.
Good. And we have Christopher McDaniel from the Institute joining us. Hi, Christopher.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So I understand we've had a collaboration going now for a couple of months on some research for P&C underwriting. So Michael, can you describe for us the scope of that research and some of the key findings?
Sure. So what we wanted to do was really assess, what is the state of underwriting today? Mm-hmm. And this is something that we have done historically. We did it back in 2008 and 2013 as a way to get a pulse of what's going on in underwriting, where the trends are, and where do we think it's headed from the view of the underwriters, so what the underwriters are actually thinking. And so what we do is we partner with the institutes because that's where all the underwriters live. And they help us get to the right people, and it's a good analysis and good pieces to actually look at the underwriters from a number of different points. What are they thinking with respect to talent? What do they think about their quality and efficiency programs? Where they're investing in technology, and where they see the industry really headed.
So, Christopher, here at ITC, we've had a lot of discussion about the workforce, the future of the workforce, the future of the work. And I understand their study yields some really interesting findings relating to talent. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely, yeah, it really did, because one of the things that we found is that maybe this is spurred by COVID, maybe by other things, but people are really looking to consume information in a different way. Traditionally, and how all of our CPCU certified folks have had it has been a hard copy book, and you go to a test lab and proxy test and all that kind of good stuff. And that's not what people are looking for today. There's been a very large sea change in that people want it in bites, they want it in pieces, they want to be able to come and do a little bit here, a little bit there, and they definitely don't want hard copy. They want it all online. So we've had to pivot to address that, and therefore really address a whole new market that is coming that is coming into place that want and that real time, if you will, training, and are not going to be comfortable with the old traditional methods.
And so, Michael, I understand too, you were talking about quality. Mm-hmm. So there are some concerns that underwriters have relating to the quality of the underwriting, even within their own organizations.
Right.
Is that right?
So one of the things we looked at was how underwriters view their quality processes. So that's your underwriting strategy, that's controls, it's your underwriting guidelines, it's access to knowledge, it's all the different things that help make sure that your underwriting is going to be the best that it possibly can. And what was really interesting when you look at the numbers today is 46% think their view is superior. That's interesting because it's under 50%, but it's also very interesting when we look at it from 2013 and 2008. It is by far the lowest number we've ever seen, and down 17% than it was in 2013. Now, if you take a step back and look at the industry, you can kind of see why that has happened. There's been a lot of focus on efficiency, a lot of focus on how do I do things faster, how do I do things easier. But in doing that and trying to just focus on the expense side of the equation, I think a lot of carriers got away from the quality side of the equation, which is, am I getting to the right underwriting outcome? Do I have the right underwriting disciplines? Now, the good news in this is we're also seeing from the investment point of view that the carriers have recognized that they have a gap there. Because while we normally see the investments around customer service or the investments going into efficiency, that's not what we're seeing anymore. The top score for where the investments were going was around underwriting quality. So we can see the carriers are recognizing, they took their eye off the ball. They got a little too far away from that core good underwriting piece, which is starting to hurt their results, especially as they go out of a harder market. And so there's a returning focus to there, but there's also clearly some room to make up too.
Yeah, it's interesting really because many of the respondents talked about the different technology advances that were going to help them and that kind of thing that they knew that their organizations were investing in. But it seemed like a lot of them hadn't trickled down to the underwriters yet, even though they saw it coming. They said, we know we're investing in AI and analytics and all this kind of stuff, and someday we'll get that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we've been seeing is a lot of those investments were piecemeal. right? So you have the kind of the big platforms, but then you have like this little analytic tool or this analytic tool. And like the other thing that came out is while there's been investments in underwriting, in general, they haven't seen their jobs get easier. They haven't seen the work actually improve. And now there's a need to take that next step and kind of drive like a more significant change, especially around the data and analytics, and especially tied to quality.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a big factor because garbage in, garbage out. If the data sources and the data that you have coming in are different formats or not normalized in any way, then how do you take that next step and do these analytics and AI and all that kind of stuff? So, it's not just a matter of having access to the data. The underwriters may have access to literally too many sources, quite frankly, and they have to then reconcile that. Rather than it being a standardized process in the organization where it's reconciled, a lot of them are having to reconcile it on their own, which is a challenge.
Yeah, and it was one of the interesting parts of just being here at the conference. So we obviously saw a lot of different folks focused around the data side, but we're also starting to see them focus around the integration too and some of the connections. So, not just trying to throw sources, not just trying to throw new insights there, but starting to recognize we got to go a step further. And I do think that's where the industry is going to go.
Absolutely.
So lots of good stuff.
All right. Well, we look forward to the full report coming out in the not too distant future. And thank you both for joining me, Christopher and Michael.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.